you imagine what life would be like today if Hitler and the Nazis had won World War II? My name is Eric Wolf, and today I'm going to talk to you about Operation Overlord, which is also known as D-Day, June 6, 1944. And I've been in the military for 13 years now, and have been a part of many military operations, and have also planned a lot. And with this speech, I've done a lot of research on several websites, the U.S. Army Center for Military History, and the D-Day Museum, and website, and then also a time-lapse book called The Second Front. First, I'm going to discuss how the Allies and Nazis prepared for Operation Overlord, and then also the Allies' strategic battle plan. And my third point will be to discuss what happened actually on the first day of the battle. The Allies began planning for Operation Overlord in 1942, not for this operation, but many commanders on the Allies began planning ways to invade France, to start a second front to knock out the Allies, or the Nazis, and win the war. General Eisenhower, who was the supreme Allied commander, decided that the invasion point was going to be on the beaches of Normandy, France, and there was also going to be a second false invasion point on the Pas de Calais, France, which is where Hitler had the most defenses built up. Furthermore, D-Day was supposed to be for the 5th of June, but because of weather, it ended up having to change it to the 6th of June, 1944. According to the book, The Second Front, in 1941, Hitler boasted that it is my unshakable decision to make this front impregnable against every enemy. Therefore, Hitler placed all of his efforts on the coastline between France and Great Britain, and actually constructed 15,000 strong point, which was manned by over 300,000 soldiers. It took him 2.5 years to build. Furthermore, in 1943, Hitler placed Field Marshal Rommel in charge of the 2,400-mile coastline that was named the Atlantic Wall. He was not completely satisfied with the defenses that Hitler had originally built, so he also flooded the fields of Normandy for airborne troops to land in and drown, and then placed mine-tipped obstacles on the beaches to guard against armor, which are tanks. Next, I'm going to discuss again the actual strategic battle plan. And according to the United States Army Center of Military History, the assault force would invade Normandy along the beaches, which there were 5 of. First, the code name was Utah, where the American 4th Infantry Division would assault. The next was Omaha, which is where the 1st and the 29th Infantry Divisions, along with the 2nd and 5th Ranger Battalions, assaulted. Then there was Gold, which was the British invasion point with the 50th Infantry Division. Juno had the Canadian 3rd Infantry Division, and Sword, also where the British invaded, was their 3rd Infantry Division. Next was the Airborne Assault Force. There was 3 divisions of airborne units. The first was the 101st Airborne Division of the Americans, who jumped into Normandy, south of the town St. Mary-Glees. And then the 82nd American Airborne Division jumped into Normandy, south of the Murderette River and north of the Duvet River. Their missions were to defeat the Nazi artillery and to open up causeways, which are basically roads that are cleared by the soldiers so that the advancing units can push through quicker. Then the third was the British 6th Airborne Division, and they jumped into Normandy by the Caen Canal and the Orne River. Their primary mission was to capture that bridge, also to allow the advancing troops to move further inland. The plan was set, the soldiers moved in. Now the question is, what exactly happened on the first day of battle? Casualties were extremely high, and according to the D-Day Museum website, the Americans had 1,465 dead, 3,000 wounded, over almost 2,000 missing, and 26 captured. The British casualties were roughly 2,700, killed or wounded, 600 missing. The Canadians only had 340 killed, 547 wounded. And the Germans, there are no official records, but roughly through that whole Battle of Normandy, they lost between 4,000 and 9,000 soldiers. Next, I'm going to talk about the airborne mishaps. They had planned on going to the places I spoke earlier, but whenever they actually flew in, there was a lot of confusion, and the airborne troops ended up jumping all over the place in Normandy. The soldiers recovered, gathered into small groups, and continued to fight. And this actually ended up being a benefit to the Allies because that made the Nazis think that there were actually more troops on the ground than what there actually were. And the last thing was discussed is the troops on the ground and the ground actually gained by the Allies. On Utah, there was 24,000 troops. They only made it 4 miles inland. Omaha, there was 34,000, and they only made it about 1.5 miles deep inland. That was where the worst fighting was. Most of the U.S. casualties came from. Gold, there was 25,000 troops that landed. Juneau, there was 21,000. And last Sword, there was 29,000 that were landed on that beach, and they reached 6 miles inland. Though the ground gain was small and the lives lost were high, this was a very valuable and probably one of the most important operations in military history. That operation ended up allowing the Allies to beat the Nazis. Operation Overlord was one of the most important military operations of all time. The preparation took years for both the Allies and the Nazis. The battle plan was risky but decisive, and again the lives lost was large. Had Operation Overlord failed, it was almost certain that we would be probably speaking German today and not be able to live with the freedoms that we have. I hope you have a better understanding of the Battle of D-Day, also Operation Overlord, and thank you for your time.